Happy day 3 of our Rewire of Brain with Gratitude Challenge 2025. My name is Dr. Drayguensahin. I'm so happy that you are here. So let's get into it. I hope you did the exercises of day 1 and day 2. And today we are going to talk about how gratitude changes memory encoding. This is so important because this is literally how we experience the events outside of us and how we memorize it. And in fact, how these events that we memorize destroy our lives and self-sabotage, and also increases our anxiety levels, and that in turn increases the production of stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, and those in turn affects our physiology, our entire system, and it increases the heart rate, increases really the chance of hypertension, and all other physiological effects that you do not want to have. And if one is constantly under stress, and I do have a great video on that and a very comprehensive workbook and ebook for a guidebook as well for unhealthy relationships make you ill, in which these type of unhealthy relationships, you will be in constant stress, and those constant stress will lead to constant release of stress hormones, and that in turn can lead into not only a lot of diseases but also including cancer. Okay, I had a very important section on that. So let's talk about memory and what does it even do, how does it even work, memory, when we talk about neuroscience and our brain, right? We talked a lot about amygdala, and amygdala is the center for our fears, that we evolutionary, we have to, our body is built to recognize the threats from the outside world. And when we see the threats from the outside world, evolutionary, our body has this push against these types of threats that comes from the outside world. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. So this is a serious topic, and I have to be I have to concentrate, so I rather prefer not to be distracted. So hi everyone, we are talking about neuroscience, the neuroscience of memory, and how we can change our memories with gratitude. Okay, so again, this is a serious neurobiology topic. If you're interested in that, please be here. Otherwise, I'm not going to get distracted with the any type of chats or whatever. Okay, so I will ignore the chat for now, and I don't, it doesn't matter where I'm from. That's really not the point. If you are here to learn how you can change your memory, if you felt constantly anxious, under fear, that subconscious, you feel tight in your shoulders, tight in your neck, and you feel constantly that you're self-sabotage, this video is for you. Okay, so let's get going. So again, evolutionary, so our the way we memorize events that happened to us in our lives is stored in the brain in a place which is called hippocampus. And hippocampus is really next to amygdala. And we talked a lot about amygdala. I had so many videos about amygdala, as well as in my article, very comprehensive article on my website, drayguensahin.com/blog. You can read all about amygdala, how we are regulating our amygdala. And with our 30-day Journal with Me challenge, we also helped regulating the amygdala. Okay, so the hippocampus literally sits next to each other, and it goes really hand in hand. But the hippocampus, the way the hippocampus stores the memory, it stores in a way biologically, from the evolutionary standpoint, it does do memorize it from a threat angle, from a negative, and in an angle that it allows you to take action and has a negative memory from the threat, okay? And that it was important evolutionary for survival. And so that, for example, I give you an example, when you touch the hot oven and you burn, right? And when you burn, then you memorize, your hippocampus immediately puts this in memory and says, okay, you know what? It hurt so much. I will never do this ever again because it hurts so bad, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to change the memory from the negative into positive. We will encode our brain, which I'll teach you in a second, with a 40-second a micro technique, okay? So, and what gratitude does is that it shifts the encoding bias that the hippocampus has against the threats. Gratitude changed that bias into positive memory. And that's what we will be accomplishing today. I will show you a micro technique. Of course, we will extend those training in our inner royalty circle right after our 14-day challenge will end, because the 14-day challenge will only micro technique. We will do the extended right after it literally starts right after for 6 weeks, okay? And so that we will really will do the training of our brain to help you to completely encode your brain into the positive memory. So the hippocampus, it doesn't automatically restores the memories. It stores with some sort of emotions together. And that will be linked into the technique that I will show you in a second. And it does that through the connection with amygdala. I want to show you here. That's why it took me a little bit too long. I had to deal with a patient, but also I wanted to find the greater picture, how you can really see where hippocampus is located. But this picture, and I don't have, I looked into my other atlases, it doesn't look so well, but I will try, but just to give you an idea. So this is our brain. As I said, our eyes will be located here. The nerves goes through the brain, and here we have the brain stem. This is our brain stem over here, and as you can see here, this is our amygdala. Amygdala actually looks so large here. It's not that large. It's actually two tiny organs here in the back of the brain, and then the hippocampus is actually attached next to the amygdala, the hippocampus here. So if you look at, I want to show you, I think it's right over here. Yeah, so the hippocampus is actually this location. So the amygdala is located in these sections here. This is the back of your brain, okay, the head, the back side. So the amygdalas are here, and next to each other here is the hippocampus, okay, the hippocampus. And the hippocampus comes from the Latin term of, looks like a seahorse. So it's a seahorse shaped structure next to amygdala. So the amygdala and the hippocampus works hand in hand. Of course it does, because evolutionary, it has to see the threats from the outside, so it memorizes it so that you can protect yourself in your life, right? That's the purpose, evolutionary. But at this day and age, the threat turns into unnecessary anxiety, and then if we don't regulate our amygdala, it goes literally into, as I said, a serious sort of problems that we don't need, and we don't have to have that. And that's why we will be able to regulate it, okay? And I will show you how. So the that's called the negative bias that hippocampus has, right? So there were studies actually studying this, and by the way, there are tons of studies about that, okay? Even in Nature and Science, like the high top level scientific journals, really, really important, the connection, which we'll talk about in a second, regarding the memory, okay, how we store the memory and how does the entire system works, okay? So that is, they have done actually a research and showed, the scientists have done a research, and they saw that people with gratitude who are practicing gratitude, they had a positive memory bias in both encoding and recall, okay? So they had a significantly greater memory bias, positive memory bias in encoding and memory, meaning when we focus on gratitude, hence my gratitude cards, right? Card decks, which are, I ordered it and Amber ordered it, and we are actively working on our gratitude, right? So I am literally like my entire life is focused on gratitude, and that's why I see the last 2 years an unreal shift in my health, mental, physical, emotional health. That's why I wrote these from my own life, my own words, and you can see in my cards, and this literally goes into the technique. It literally is based on right here, the memory encoding, positive memory encoding, and positive memory bias, okay? And I will show you how. Then the people in the research with people with gratitude practice had a cohort D, meaning a statistical analysis point of 1.7, which is in neurobiology extremely high, okay? And what in science, in research, what has been also found, that people who practice gratitude changed the hippocampus, how hippocampus prioritizes sensory rich and context specific details, as I said, and that goes straight into the technique. So the way, when you practice gratitude in a technique that I will show you in a second, you will be able to change how hippocampus prioritizes the sensory rich and context specific memory, and that straight up leads to the positive memory encoding and the positive memory recall, okay? This is so critical for the encoding. So the point here is that you need to practice the gratitude. Without even knowing, I just did this. See, that's the difference also between the woo-woo people, right, who creating these cards, oracle cards or whatever the heck cards, that you can see from their writing of these cards, and they're selling in like tons of money, and such a high volume of selling. You can see that they are unhealed, and without healing, they are writing these types of cards so that they are, you can see, very unhealthy, super toxic type of terminology and words they're using, right? And they sell this as oracle cards or whatever cards is. And that's the huge difference. Me, when I wrote this, I was already way advanced in gratitude's brain shift. So I already have a huge shift in the regulation of amygdala, because 2 years ago, I completed the first cohort of the 30-day Journal with Me challenge. And then I literally non-stop, even through the mess of the horrible events that happened, I literally push through gratitude and from the heart, from the bottom of my heart, not because I really have to do this gratitude practice so that I feel calming down. No, it's not like a technique cookie cutter. Okay, now I'm practice gratitude. For me, it doesn't work like that at all. Nobody can push me into an when I don't want to. Okay, I need to be in that mindset, and that I literally taught how to do it to Amber in our inner royalty circle during our second cohort of the 30-day Journal with Me challenge, so that we have to bring ourselves down first, then regulate the amygdala first, and then go into whatever the practice is. So without knowing the technique, that you calm yourself down first, to be in that mode of the alpha state of the brain first, there is no what do you practice gratitude about? Then you can just write toxic, unhealthy oracle cards and sell them for millions, right? This is not how that works. This is not how you change actually your brain. This is not how the brain chemistry works. You have to bring first yourself down, and then you get into the practice, whatever it is. So that's what I'm saying. When I wrote these came, you can tell, Amber will see it, I will show it to you. They're coming. We ordered it. These are 44 cards. They came from the bottom of my heart when I already was, my hippocampus was also already being shifted in a memory. And I can right now tell you exactly why, even for the people I was angry, they're not like, screw you and whatever. No, it's, if I would be unhealed, if I wouldn't have changed my actual and regulate my amygdala with techniques that I teach, but also if I wouldn't have to change and code my hippocampus with the positive memory recalls and positive memory encodes or encoding, then I would still writing these cards with negative energy in the fine print. You know what I mean? Like, not, it's just that's why I see so many gratitude cards that actually has a tone of negativity to them. And these oracle cards, whatever, has a tone of negativity in them. That's when you truly have not encoded your brain into positive memory. You still write from anger, 100,000,000%. And this is what I'm teaching you right now. The biology of it is to really encode. And you will see this right in my cards. You will see the shift. You can feel free to compare, get them and compare them with other gratitude cards. You will see the black and white day and night difference, because the encoding is different. If you can tell if someone's hippocampus is encoded for negativity bias and still there, which is original from the evolutionary standpoint, from the threats that we have, and in combo with amygdala, which is the fear center of our brain, versus when we, in this day and age, shift and encode our brain into the positive memory with sensory memory, and that we encode that into our hippocampus and change the chemistry. Okay, this is so important to understand, and that's how I immediately know how the cards that been written was not literally encoded with the positive bias wasn't encoded into hippocampus. So do you understand now the neurobiology, and absolutely not the woo-woo stuff? Because these woo-woo people would not know that. I know, because I know the neurobiology. And now you know, because you are here on my channel. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and we will go into day 4 tomorrow, okay? So do you understand now? This is why I get so freaked out about all the woo-woo people who are have absolutely selling you nonsense and actually harmful stuff. So if you know this, if you follow me and do the techniques and learn these techniques, you will be ready for life, okay? Ready for life. Okay, let's keep going. So now, the amygdala, so I will take this actually chemistry of that, which I mentioned, is literally published in Nature, in Science, is at the top level scientific journals, and even in recent time in 2024. So these are very hot topics, very important. And so, and now you know this, right? Hopefully I made it's easy to understand, okay? So the amygdala hippocampus interaction during emotional memory encoding, it works through what we are calling in science as theta gamma coupling. That's the system how the amygdala works together with the hippocampus. I just mentioned that, right? When we regulate the one and completely decode it, it works hand in hand. So we have to work together with amygdala hippocampus, and Amber now knows how to regulate the amygdala. One part of it regarding certain techniques that we used, including the journaling, right? So gratitude is another part that it goes into regulating amygdala. So if Amber follows, for example, she did the 30-day journal with me challenge, completely rewiring her brain. With the journaling, that's a different set. Now we're doing the gratitude, that's a different set. So there are several further steps, but this is one part of it. So we have to regulate amygdala, and I will also teach you how to encode the positive bias into our hippocampus. Okay, great. So now let's take a moment. I know one person is here now, so whoever is here, so let's do 2-3 breathings, and by now you know how it goes. If you don't know, watch the previous videos, and I will do the 2 or 3 deep breathing to actually center myself and to focus, okay? And then I will tell you what to do. So after we do like 2-3 breathings, then I want you to take a moment, close your eyes as we do the healing, as we do the breathing, okay? So your hand is on our chest because it won't move, and only your belly will move. We do a deep breathing through our belly, okay? So what we are doing is, if you followed yesterday's training, 1, 2, 3, 4, inhale, expand your belly, hold it there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then squeeze in your belly, count to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then, as I mentioned, bring your positive memory. What we're going to do today is, once you do that, think of someone or something that you encountered today, okay? Maybe you talked with somebody. I immediately know what it is because this morning I had a unreal experience, which I will make another video on. That was surreal, okay? So bring whatever happened today in your memory. And then think about the interaction, or if this is a person you talk to, think about interaction and think about what the person was wearing. Okay, I get a lot that people are commenting on my clothing, my hair, whatever, my jewelry, whatever. So just think of the moment. Maybe it can be me, right? When you just think of, okay, she was wearing this or wearing that, and this really helped me, this training today. Think of what I was wearing, or whatever you talked with persons, right? Whatever that person was wearing, what was the situation, what was the scenario, and how this person, how was their demeanor, what was the tone of voice. It's just do more the memory from the sensory point to give your hippocampus the sensory points of that event, of that situation, of that conversation, of that interaction, okay? So think of that. What was the person's tone of voice? Or if the person was next to you, how was the smell? Did you hug the person, or whatever interaction? Maybe you had a piece of clothing that you loved, and you saw that, and how was the clothing feeling? What was the touch? What was the color of the t-shirt, for example? Just think of the specific, using your sensories, specific points of that interaction, that happenings into your brain, okay? So you got that? Let's do that as we breathe in, and when you squeeze in, I'm counting 6, you bring this into your memory, whatever happened today, okay? Let's do that. Okay, sounds good. Close your eyes and let's get started. Breathe in, count to 4. Hold it there 4. And squeeze in, count to 6. Bring in the memory. Let's do this again. Breathe in 4. Hold it there 4. And as you squeeze in your belly, count to 6 and bring in the memory. Breathe out loud. Let's do this again. And again. Okay, do you get this? As we squeeze in our belly and relax and do the deep breathing, we are memorizing that event with specific details using the sensories, the smell, the color, the demeanor, the tone of voice, right? Not necessarily that happened, but all the things that go surround it using the sensories, okay? This was literally just one piece of it, but we will do more training in our inner royalty circle to keep going with the memory shifts and encoding, okay? This is just the micro technique. So And this is, again, as I said, literally encoded into my gratitude cards, statement cards, that you can get an idea of how you can really see and how you can really observe from now on the situations and memorize it in a way that can encode the positive bias into your hippocampus. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, what was your experience? How did you feel afterwards? I need to know your comments, your feedback, and I will see you tomorrow, day 4, and we are talking about gratitude and emotional regulation. How important is this? Okay, I will see you tomorrow. Looking forward to your feedback. Send you so much love. And again, if you're joining now to our Inner Royalty Circle, you will be locked in, and we start right after our challenge ends. Okay, see you then. Bye-bye.